Hi, welcome to another episode of Kids Craft 2 with Miss Lisa. This month we're going to do Artsy Heartsy Valentine trees. I hope you enjoy them. Here are your supplies from your art kit. You have a background paper, an oval cut paper, a heart cut paper, a plate for your paint, paper clips to hold your papers together, paint packets, 3 or 4, paintbrush, Mod Podge, sponge for the Mod Podge, and foil. So to get started, you're going to lay out your foil because that'll keep the mess off your table or wherever you're working. Then lay down your background sheet and your oval sheet. And then on top of that, put your heart cutout. And then you're going to line up your heart cutout paper on the bottom and center it. And that'll keep it in the right space for you. And then put the paper clips on there to hold them in place. And that'll really help out a lot. Get out your paper plate, and I have 3 colors for you to use for your heart tree. And you're going to take your scissors and one at a time, squeeze those out in a little puddle on the plate. Now, I noticed when I did this, I should have cut the little bags apart. So I eventually did that because it just made a mess. So there you go. There I am cutting it apart. So then you can just squeeze one bag at a time. Almost made a giant mess on my paper. So anyways, I squeeze them out and just the 3 colors you're going to use. Now, a couple of you will have only 3 packets of paint, and that is because your main color on your oval paper was black, and then probably a cream color or something. And those things had some interesting ones on the other side also, so you might want to use those for your oval frame. But you're going to use black for one of your 3 colors on your heart tree, and then you're also going to use the black as your tree trunk color, which the other people are doing that have 4 packets of paint. Now, a lot of the other oval cutouts also have some other things on the back of them. Not all of them, but some of them. So you can kind of choose. I put what I thought was the best one facing forward, but if you want to use the other side, feel free. It is your piece of art. You do what you want. So now that we're back to our paint on our plate, we're ready to do our heart tree. So what you're going to do is pick the first color you want to use, which doesn't matter which one it is. And you want to smear that paint around a little bit because you don't want a big giant glob when you stick that down on your background. But make sure you're holding down the heart cutout so that when you overlap on the white part, you make a nice clean line. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to let that one completely dry. I did use a blow dryer, and then I cleaned off my finger and I went on and I picked my second color, as you can see, and I started stamping with my thumb with that one. And then when you're done doing that, getting it filled in, you're going to let that dry, clean off your finger, and you're going to move on to your third color. Now, make sure that you don't fill in all the spaces before you get to your third color. And there I had messed up my outline just a tiny bit when I blew dry it. So I noticed it was off. So I made sure it was back on a little bit. It didn't turn out perfect, but hey, it's art, so it's okay. So I stamped with my third color in there. I didn't like some of those circles that came out with one time. And so I just used my index finger instead of going and cleaning off my thumb. I stamped it back into the other color. And I filled that one in, a couple of those circles I didn't like. You'll see in a second how I did that. See, I pointed to it. I don't like it. So there we go. Fill that in. And I was kind of looking it over to make sure it's kind of even. And I mean, not even, but randomly even. I guess that's a word. Kind of fill in a couple spots I didn't like. And then I took that off, and you let that dry completely, because when you do your trunk to your tree, you want to be able to draw over the paint and not smear it. So again, I left the paper clips on to keep my oval straight and in place. I guess I really don't have to do that, but you don't want to make your tree trunk lower than where your oval comes up. So it's okay to do that, whichever way. Now, again, these are really awful brushes that I got. And as soon as we're done with them, I'm going to get new ones. So I apologize for that. But if you have a better brush at home, use them. But just make random branches in a tree, kind of like my picture or on the directions. And one where you need to, the bottom can be a little thicker. And that's it for that. So the last and messiest thing will be us using our Mod Podge. This is what it looks like now. And make sure it's completely dry here in these areas because you don't want it to smudge when you put the Mod Podge over it. So open your Mod Podge container, get your Mod Podge brush, sponge brush, whatever you want to call it. Take your clips off. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip the paper up and off. And I found out the easiest way pretty much to do this is to take the sponge with the Mod Podge and paint it on up there really thick like paint. So paint the Mod Podge kind of around in an oval shape, kind of like the cutout is, and put plenty on. I found out it takes plenty of this to glue down the piece of paper. After you do that, you're going to use your fingers to kind of smush the Mod Podge around up in the crinks and corners and add some more Mod Podge on top, especially right where the oval is cut out. And with your fingers, paste that down a little bit. And then you're going to just keep adding more Mod Podge so you have it completely covered. And then you'll lay it somewhere where your cat or your little brother or anybody can't bother it because it's going to need at least all night to dry. Now, if it ends up kind of wrinkly and wavy after it's completely dry, you can lay a heavy book on it and it should flatten it out after a day or two. But like I said, please be sure that you've let this dry like for a whole day and night because it will stick to the book and I don't want you to ruin any of your books at your house. Okay, so this is finished. This is pretty much dry. I pulled it off the foil. Just be careful when you do that. I noticed some of it stuck, so you might want to trim the edges a little bit. I did rip it just a little bit, but you could probably put a little bit more Mod Podge if you have some left or a piece of tape or something. But just be careful when you pull it off your foil. And that is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed doing the Artsy Heartsy tree. See you next month.